Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip of the So Yeah podcast. If you like what you hear, give it a like. If you want to hear more, give it a subscribe. You can hear our full podcast on Spotify, link down below. So, yeah. Let's also talk about something else, y'all. This actually is partially why the Orlando News got into Matt Francois in the first place. It's because of a missing animatronic from a guy who also had this guy also did have, I think, a backstage Disney vlog. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it was becoming quite famous because he was a current Disney employee, and he was taking pictures in the those underground tunnels. What were they called again? Those tunnels that the cast members use. I can't think of it, but and he also was going behind the scenes at a lot of operational rides. And long story short, he began to take items from those rides and out of the storerooms and sell them for high prices. And he was eventually caught. But around the same time he was caught, the animatronic character from the ride Cranium Command, his name was Buzzy, also went missing. In fact, Matt Francois urbexed that ride, and Buzzy was still there. But not long after that, he went missing and is still in the police report called stolen. There have been no updates on him. But this whole incident already had kind of soured people to urbexing because of the actions of this employee whose name I have written down here somewhere. And again, I can't find it, but it was, I can't find it now. But anyway, so it made the situation all the more worse for Matt because they were all mad at this employee. So before I ask the question, guys, just any comments on this little topic at all?
It was the heist of the century. People were up in arms about it for days on end.
They actually were. Hate to tell you.
It's covered on CNN and Fox News. Same story. You know it was serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they give you the exact same story, you know it was bad.
Yeah.
You don't cross the mouse again.
Cody, Michelle, any thoughts?
I think that like I feel like those guys like in that video they look so like they look excited about what they did. You could see their egos on their faces, and I feel like they were idiots. Like I think they were so stupid.
It was so funny because I saw the police interrogation video where the cops tried to grab his phone and he tried to stop him, and the Florida cops once again showed why Florida cops are amazing. Dropped him like a throw rug on the
That's all alligators. I don't know why you think you can fight them.
dropped him like a throw rug on the floor, and then he asked for his mommy, which was hilarious. This little egotistical twerp then asked him to call his mom, and the cop asked him, "How old are you?" He said 24. He said, "Then I'm not calling your mom. You're a man. Figure it out for yourself." And I'm like, you go, Florida cops. I love y'all so much. Patrick Spikes. That was his name. Patrick Spikes was the guy's name. So anyway, Cody, any thoughts, sir, about this whole ordeal?
First off, like you, Rob, I'd also like to applaud the officers that wrestled that man to the ground who thought he was smooth enough to pocket his phone in a small interrogation room with two trained police officers. I don't know what that man was smoking, but he probably should have just told that as opposed to stealing stuff from the mouse.
Yeah.
But, whatever, I guess. It was dumb. The Buzzy Heist is interesting. I don't, like, some people say that it might be just Disney took it, but I feel like Disney would not have just cut the cables and let the oil leak all over the place. Like, Disney seems to take decent care of its properties, especially when they're already intact. And so I feel like they would have been a bit more professional about,
Even if he wasn't.
about detaching their $400,000 animatronic from its track to put in storage. So I do feel like it was stolen, but that's kind of my thoughts on all that. Is the heist is crazy, and Patrick and his accomplice, whose name is burned into my brain forever now because it's just such a southern, like Florida boy name, Blayton.
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 That boy came straight out the trailer park, y'all.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Oh
Walked
my
straight
god.
out the trailer park, straight into Disney World, and said, "Get me some money."
Yep.
Anyways, it almost sounds like a staged episode of Cops.
It is funny.
It's a conspiracy. This all was just an elaborate Cops episode.
It was all an elaborate Cops episode, all to make the Florida police look good. It's a Florida police psyop.
It's Florida police propaganda, yeah. Well, not very good propaganda. They still haven't found the animatronic. But yeah, there have been a million theories about where the animatronic went. Some say that Disney took him down in haste because I think it was confirmed that Patrick Spikes did take Buzzy's clothes, and since they were afraid he'd take Buzzy, they sawed him off in a hurry, and somebody in security misplaced him or something. Others say that Patrick Spikes is in fact the culprit. Others say he couldn't be because, Buzzy weighed, I think, close to 300 pounds, and to haul him off into your truck is no easy feat. The utilidors, that's what those hallways are called, the utilidors. And even to roll him through, you would need a lot of credibility as a cast member to just roll an iconic animatronic through the utilidors and no one stop you or ask, what the heck are you doing? And I don't think Patrick Spikes had that much street cred as a Disney employee. So, guys, that being said, our question for this topic is, where do we think the Buzzy animatronic is? Michelle.
I think he was cut up into pieces.
For real?
Yeah, I think he was cut into pieces, and I think that guy probably did. That Patrick dude probably cut that thing up into pieces, and that probably was its legit head.
Yeah, that's something I forgot to say was he did post a picture of Buzzy's head with all of its innards torn out. So that is a theory that folks have, Michelle. You've joined a club with that one. How about you?
I mean, if it's taking 300 pounds and you remove it bit by bit, it's a lot easier to carry.
Ah, very interesting. Finally, now I remember why I invited you on here. Cody, where do you think?
My theory is very similar to Michelle's. My theory isn't that he was cut up. My theory is that he's an animatronic made of a bunch of little bits. I think they did cut him off the stand, but once they cut him off the stand, I think they proceeded to the best of their ability, disassemble him into smaller pieces so that they could reassemble him at their leisure later once they were out with him, and sell him as a whole. Because the idea is that you're trying to sell this for as much as you can get for it. If you cut it, you have permanently damaged this item, and so its value drops. And the only way I can think of to avoid doing that is to do as little cutting as possible, just as much cutting as you need to actually remove the animatronic, and everything else can be disassembling. And if you have something that can cut through those cables quickly enough that you're not there for hours on end just sawing away, then you probably have the power tools necessary to disassemble an animatronic relatively quickly, if a bit sloppily. Slightly.
All right. And John, what's your theory, sir?
The real question is, Robert, where is Buzzy? We know you're the animatronic freak of all of us. We know you had something to do with it. Yeah.
I only wish I had a reason to run and hide. It'd be cool to own one. But I'm sorry to say I'm as innocent as Patrick Spikes is.
I don't know. I don't know who has it. I mean, I'm not affiliated with it. I could make up an answer if Disney wants to pay me.
So my theory is I do believe he was stolen. By whom, again, all I can do is theorize. And frankly, after hearing what Michelle and Cody said, that makes so much sense. And again, the Patrick Spikes and his cousin are obviously rednecks, and it's like that line from Con Air, it's amazing the crap that white trash knows. These dudes probably knew exactly how to take this thing apart and sell it, knowing full well that you'll never catch me because I sold it in pieces. What if he sold it in pieces? Because money is money, who cares? Or what if he put it all back together again, already had a buyer? We'll never, ever know. But that makes the most sense. Especially, I don't buy that Disney simply misplaced it, because I don't think they would have gone as far as to actually report him stolen to the police, which they did. The police report showed that. So my theory is Patrick Spikes did in fact steal this dude, took him apart, and either sold his pieces or sold him reassembled, because that makes the most sense now. I was going to say something different, but now Cody and Michelle, you got me strongly leaning in your direction right now.
I just don't understand. Is there a black market for animatronics or something out there that I don't know?
How long have you known? How long have you known me, John?
Well, I mean, you never told me about it, so it must be pretty serious.
Listen, I'm one of many adults who went to the middle of freaking nowhere, Mississippi, to see Smitty's Super Service Station. Believe me, if adults will go there, adults will buy. I promise you. There are all kinds of adults who have animatronic whole sets. So trust me, there is.
People who are so obsessed with Disney.
Yeah, the Disneyites.
So obsessed with Disney.
I just imagine that there's some rich prince in Saudi Arabia who has a bunch of exotic cars and then a Buzzy right in the middle of them.
Yes, this is my Buzzy.
Yeah, this is
But John,
my treasures.
I would be surprised. There's most definitely a black market for animatronics, and the only reason I'm super confident about it is because I know where I read it. In Canada, there is a black market for maple syrup.
A black market for something that's available at every grocery store?
Yes.
Why?
I kid you not. I have to do more research on it, but basically it has to do with supply and demand and price gouging. But so if there is a black market for something as simple and easily accessible as maple syrup, you best believe there's a black market for stolen animatronics from pop culture and popular theme parks.
I mean, shoot, whenever you think about it, Patrick Spikes sold that Haunted Mansion dress to like a famous basketball player.
I wonder if he was going to wear the dress.
I just imagine, like Shaq or Charles Barkley trying to put on a dress from a Haunted Mansion now. This dress don't fit.
This dress don't fit. So all this stuff being said, this kind of takes us off into the topic of things that put folks off to urban exploration. So I guess our next final question for the evening is, guys, what do we think puts folks off the most to urban exploration?
Well, for the record, I don't think this guy was an urban explorer. I think that he was just taking advantage of his employer. But I think that what turns people off to urban explorers is people who have the giant egos, who wants to see how far they can push a boundary, or people who do steal or just take things from the places they're looking at.
And Cody?
I kind of agree with Michelle. I also feel like people look at urban explorers kind of similarly to how they look at people that do graffiti, which is like they view them as little more than vandals. And in some cases, like with graffiti artists, they're right. They are vandals. They go in and, like John says, they put up stupid signs. They write boobies across like an old Victorian banner somewhere. And like they trash and steal stuff, or they try their art and it's just not good. And so, and it's not tasteful. It's just belligerent. So I think a lot of people kind of imagine urban explorers and they kind of equate them with vandals, people that go in and vandalize these locations as opposed to document them, which is actually what the spirit of urban exploration really is about.
Yeah. And John?
Pretty much the same answer, man. I mean, don't mess up the places you're exploring, and don't steal stuff from it. Don't vandalize it, and don't mess with the mouse.
Most importantly of all.
Do not mess with the mouse.
Yes, the most important lesson. Yes, sir. Yeah, I am in agreement with you guys as well. When it goes from simple exploration of something abandoned to the unlawful trespass onto active property, when it goes from documenting to stealing, because again, that's what a lot of the naysayers think that urbex is all about. Like, they think that this hobby will always result in the bad eggs being bred. And when these bad elements do come and are caught doing that kind of stuff, that just gives the naysayers fuel to continue their tirade. So, and I feel like that's what these bad eggs don't realize, is it doesn't just get you in trouble. It makes us all look bad. Like a lot of us are just in it for the history. We're not there to disturb. We just want to look around and go home. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish up with our final question of the evening, guys. So we've discussed all the things good, all the things bad, all the controversies that we possibly could, that an hour and a half of our time will let us. So again, we usually rate things, guys, when we're on this podcast, because usually it's movies or games or music, but this is more of an activity. So the question, instead of a rating tonight, is, after we've discussed all this stuff, do we think urbex is actually worth it? Michelle?
I think it's worth it whenever it meets certain criteria. So, like, sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes you could get stabbed by a heroin addict.
True. And Cody?
I tend to agree. It can be worth it, as long as it, like Michelle says, meets certain criteria. If at any point urban exploration means risking public safety, private property, your own life and limb, or just, making everyone else that enjoys the hobby look bad, then it's immediately not worth it. It is not worth the time invested or the effort. But if it passes all those criteria, then it is absolutely worth it, because it's digital time capsules. And I think, nowadays, capturing our history in an accurate and very affectionate way is very important, because it just seems like we're losing it, and so it's important to try our best to preserve what we can.
I love your philosophical answers to these questions tonight, Cody. You are in deep thinking mode. We need to have more episodes like this to really just get that Socrates out of you.
I'm here to make everyone laugh. Or bluff.
John's here to get. So Cody's here for the deep thoughts. You're here to make folks laugh. John is here for the sponsorships, and I'm here to get canceled. All right. So now we know why we're all here. There we go.
I'm actually here to bring the IQ level back down to where we belong.
Well, that being said, John, it's your turn.
At this point, Cody's comment was so awesome. I don't remember the question, but I believe it has something to do with urban exploring. How do we feel about it overall? I still like it. I want people to do it. Just don't break the law, people. Don't vandalize. Don't do stupid stuff. But if you can break into a mall that has stuff still in it, I want to see the video. Just don't get caught.
So after he said don't do it, he then encouraged it. Great job, John. Our IQs are back down to exactly where they need to be.
I'm not the intelligent level we need, but the intelligent level we deserve.
Yes, you are. All right. So my answer is also yes. I would say find places that are, again, like if that you're going to probably get caught if you go in there, I would say don't go in there. If the place has been has sat unloved, untouched for years, and you want to have a look and you know that there's a way in, that you don't got to, break your way in, fine, go ahead and do it. Because if all you're doing is looking around, I haven't got a problem with it. Will I do it that much? No, I'm a married man, and with my luck, I probably will get caught. But will I watch it? Heck yeah, I will. Are there some urbexers I don't watch because they do those very things I disapprove of? I watched Matt Swanza's, even though that's not supposedly him in the video, I did watch somebody on his channel climb up the Expedition Everest and look at the Yeti. But will I do that all the time? No, because I just don't agree with what I'm seeing. So I'm kind of on point with y'all. Do it, but don't go too far with it.